It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
Louisville and Lynch in the building. Welcome to another episode of Cats Talk Wednesday, everybody. Terry TV Brown right there. Got his Twitter info. Vinny Hardy here. Follow us right there. You can see it scrolling across the screen. T-Brown_80 at Vinny Hardy. For those that are listening, at Cats Talk Wednesday for the show. Glad to be here with y'all. TB, how we doing, man?
It's cold, man.
Oh,
it's cold.
no.
It's cold. Here in the upper Midwest, Chicago got snow. We've been waking up to 21, 22 degrees. I'm over it, but such is my lot in life.
Man, see, I hadn't even thought about that. It was, I don't know, 30 or 40, just a little chilly here. You know, back in Louisville, Kentucky, it's a little chilly when you get, and then it still gets 60, 65, kind of hot in the middle of the day. That's where we are right now. But now you saying that, and I'm sitting here rethinking. I'm like, I'm going to Green Bay in November. I better pack more than I'm thinking as far as warm clothes wise. It's gonna be freezing up there.
I told you, man. I told Kate. I said, yeah, Vinny, because we saw Green Bay on TV this Sunday. I said, yeah, Vinny's going up there in November. She said, what? I said, I know. It's the wind, man. It's the upper Midwest. It stays so flat that wind. We had 50-mile-an-hour winds last week or so. Just consistent winds. I mean, I'm used to gusts, but I ain't used to just staying outside and just have something smack you in the face like this over and over again. I'm over it.
Man, we're supposed to pop through Chicago. I guess it'll be freezing up there too, and so yeah, I gotta re-brace myself. I ain't ready.
The first time I visited Iowa in the wintertime, I called myself having my winter stuff on. Had sweatshirt, sweatpants, and I'm driving. I gassed up in Illinois. I was like, oh, it's a little chilly. I stopped about hour and a half outside of Des Moines. Step outside to get gas. I was like, the wind went through me. I said, oh, I am not ready for this. No. But other than that, we're doing good, man. The Cats back on a winning track. Basketball is back. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Kentucky is picked to win the SEC for the 11th time. I don't even keep track of the actual numbers. I saw folks tweeting about that. Kentucky picked to win and all these other teams. But what about, look, man, the SEC is 600 years old.
Yeah.
And Kentucky's won 85% of the championships. So if you just bet on Kentucky to win, it's one of the safest bets in sports. Like, we make a big deal about Kansas winning the Big 12 10 years in a row. But seriously, you bet on Kentucky to win, way to go. Oscar Tshiebwe, to no one's surprise, is the preseason player of the year. You kind of have to do that when the unanimous player of the year nationally comes back. Severe Wheeler, first team All-SEC, and why not? He's I know been top 5 in assists in major college basketball the last 2 seasons. Maybe number 1. We need Corey Price on here to give me the numbers, but why not?
Led the SEC at Georgia and last year, right?
Yeah. So
new team, new system. I'm still dropping out the most dimes.
Right, and he's going to have some more weapons to work with this year, so he won't have to do as much. Did an interview with Dick Gabriel, Big Blue Insider. I think it's going to drop on Friday. We talked about that, and I said, you have to like what the Cats are doing on the basketball side, men's and women's. We're still chasing that way to get that double-dip Final Four, and Coach Elsie, I know she had a lot of defections. The program has undergone a lot of changes since Coach Mitchell stepped down. But you got to build off that momentum. So I'm excited for both men and women. I know we
Women,
hit Big Blue Madness.
women got those them SEC championship rings, put the crowns on them shoes, and
Yeah.
friend of the show, Cassidy Rowe was out there at Big Blue Madness with 606 with denim on. Her dad and her been on here, and they was proud and um, it's like her grandfather's wish was to have a family member
Mm-hmm.
play for UK, and now there she is rolling out there. Uh, Friend of the show, my guy from Lynch, Kentucky, went to high school with him. George Massey rode Coach Elsie out on the motorcycle for Big Blue Madness. So man, everything's popping right now, man.
Yeah. And let's real quick talk about Big Blue Madness. It's one of these things where it's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese. Everybody's got fond memories of what Chuck E. Cheese was from way back when. Oh man, they had this and this and this, and you get older, and it's not quite what it was. Um, Big Blue Madness kind of is what it is. There's not a whole lot else you can do. We're not going to go the old days where we're going to play. I remember when they used to have a for real scrimmage,
Hooping.
not just a glorified scrimmage, a for real scrimmage. Because I remember Derek Anderson. Oh, when was this? I guess maybe 97, that 96-97 season. That game, he did one of those T-Mac off the window, came through trying to snatch souls. So we're not gonna get that anymore. Okay. So if you're not gonna get the whole, what else do you do? And so you're limited to let's have special guests, right? Well, people say, if you're not gonna have a special, so my whole point is, what is it that you can do to make this wow factor? You're very limited on what you can do. We've had Michael Buffer, we've had Bruce Buffer, we've had Danson, we've had what else can you do? I like the one year they turned the floor into a camera, not a camera, but like a screen, and did the X's and O's of different plays. You heard Tom Leach's call on Aaron Harrison's threes, and that was pretty cool. But you can only do that once.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's not a good TV product. I get that. It's not for that. And even being there may not be the best product, but it ain't for us. It is a recruiting tool that fans are allowed to come to.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's less about the 20,000 people in Rupp, less about the hundreds of thousands watching on TV. It's more about the 4 or 5 guys that say yes, the 4 or 5 ladies that say yes. That's what it's about, because we got that committed the day of Big Blue Madness.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about DJ Wagner saying, hey, this is where I'd like to be. And that class, we ain't recruiting kids. We don't recruit. We ain't recruiting. But
we know, and we
that's
don't.
A lot. That's a lot of.
We ain't just
that's a lot.
But me and you even know about this class here.
Yeah, but so people talking about recruiting these sons of different guys. They feel old. Look, I'm telling you, I remember actively rooting for DJ Wagner's grandfather.
Yes,
grandfather.
Yeah, because I don't remember Milt. I mean, I remember Purvis and that '86 squad. I remember them a little bit, but I don't remember Milt and Griffith and all those guys. But I remember, of course, Denny Crum every year. But yeah, that's crazy. They Kenny hired Milt to come on over. Let's do this little tug of war for DJ and see how that goes. And don't look like it's going too good for him. We'll have to see.
It doesn't, but Big Blue Madness, it's the start of something. I think once it moved to Rupp and it was about tickets and not about, when we were in school and you line up to go, and so it just changes. And that's just the way. That's the way of the world, unfortunately. So I know a lot of people get down on it. I wish I was there. I've been to several as a
Yeah.
fan. Been to a few to cover for various outlets. It's always fun. It's a
Hmm.
kickoff. The one thing I would change is give us an opportunity to meet these players. I
Right.
know they come out, you know, and they wave and they do a little something. Let's do a little bit more than that to introduce the players to the fans,
Hmm.
to give us something. How do you do that? I don't know, but TJ and them get paid the big bucks to make those decisions. But I'm okay with it. It's a kickoff for basketball. Um, I'm okay
Yeah.
with it.
And honestly, I didn't watch much of it Friday. The wife and I, my Kate and I, took a little kid free trip to Nashville, and as we were getting ready to go, flipped it on for just a minute, and then we went and saw the comedy show. Went and saw the Sklar Brothers do some comedy, and went out and ate and listened to some jazz and all that kind of stuff. And then thought there's this YouTube account, I forget where it is, but they put up everything like immediately. Every football game, every basketball game. I mean, it's up the next day, sometimes a few hours later. I was like, yeah, I'll pop on and check out some Big Blue Bandits. I didn't get back to even watch it. And like you said, it is, you can only reinvent stuff so many times, and it's been happening for so many years, and you do kind of run out of ideas. Now, I'm gonna have to give credit where I don't want to, but it was a good idea, and it's these people down here in Knoxville, Tennessee, did theirs at a place called Market Square. It's nice area with restaurants and shops, and it is actually a square, and they set the court up on the square and had their version of Big Blue Madness outside Thursday or Friday night, which went on into the weekend against Alabama. And of course, they won that, but maybe, I mean, I don't know if the weather cooperates, you can do that. We've seen the NHL have hockey games outdoors, like on New Year's Day. It was a comfortable night, and it looked cool. Market Square is nice. I've been there a lot, and I was like, oh, I can't stand the Vols, but that's a pretty neat idea. I don't know if they'd ever consider that for Kentucky or not, but that's something that hasn't been done.
You can't do that. Talking to folks, maybe you do something like that at like Kroger Field, but
Yeah,
you can't. You can't. I mean, wherever they set up, like Louisville does theirs at Fourth Street Live, it- you can't. There's no place outside where you can have, because you would get 80,000 Kentucky fans.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So and that's great for those programs that do that. I think that's special. I think that's great, but I just don't think Kentucky can do that. If you had it outside, the novelty, you're getting 90,000 people
Yeah.
trying to cram into wherever it is.
And what
So
happened to Fourth Street Live too? It used to be live, but what happened? It just the novelty wear off of that too, like Big Blue Mats. It just kind of
so yeah. So Fourth Street Live, real quick. They tried to make it a thing in Louisville. It was the old Louisville Galleria shopping center and all that. They revamped it, but Louisville doesn't get the tourism enough to sustain something like that. It's not Nashville.
right.
A, a lot of what Louisville gets for tourism is conventions. Like I didn't realize, but Louisville's like a top 10 convention place in the country.
Mm.
The Future Farmers of America comes every year. There's like two or three large uh, I won't say Presbyterians, but there's two large like religious groups that come a couple of times a year. So it's those kinds of conventions that Louisville gets as far as tourism. It's not uh, people visiting a party.
Right, like the
So
Tonks and Opryland and
right, it's not built for that. It's not
yeah,
built for that because just where Louisville's situated, if you're gonna do that kind of thing, you're gonna go to Nashville, not that far. You're gonna go to Indy, gonna go to St. Louis, gonna go to Cincinnati. So Louisville's just not geographically built for that kind of thing.
the
And
bourbon
so,
the bourbon tour. They get a little bit for that, I guess.
Well, the bourbon tour is relatively new. The bourbon stuff on Main Street between the Louisville Slugger factory and the Ali Center, there's like 5 or 6 distilleries downtown. That's relatively new, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But 4th Street Live, we had the Hard Rock Cafe, we had some other things, and it just never clicked because if you're not going to bring in the tourists, how are you going to get the people that live, the residents, to come? And getting downtown, it's a drive, Louisville spread out a little bit. And sometimes you got to pay to park, or you've got to find a place to park, or you're parking in a garage, and where you can just go to your neighborhood watering hole, and so it just never really caught on. And I don't know what's going on down there now, but it just never. It was new for a while there, and but it just didn't catch on. So, and now it's where Louisville does their Louisville Live or whatever they call it for basketball. God bless them. God bless them.
That's right. And real quick, we talked about all the convenient type stores before. We talked about Pilots and how Casey's from up there in your neck of the woods has bought them out, and Casey's has bought out the Pilots and paid the Haslam's a whole big bunch of money, more than they already had. And now there's Casey's down here, even where I'm at, that used to be Pilots. Now, this whole Buc-ee's phenomenon, I don't know if you want to call it that, but they started off in Texas. I know they just built one in Richmond outside of Lexington a few months ago. I think you even talked about it, and heard KSR talked about it a little bit. People I went to school with on Facebook that live in Richmond were talking about it. One particular, Michaela, we called her Michaela. She was Lee. I think she's Stevens now, but Mickey Stevens was posting stuff about Buc-ee's and all this and going in there. And so going to Nashville, my Kate and I, there's one there's a Crossville, Tennessee, and a Cookville. I always getting mixed up. I think it's in Crossville, just past Knoxville before you get to Nashville, somewhere in between there on the drive. There's a Buc-ee's in Crossville. And we were just like, you top off the gas a little bit. Wasn't hungry. Let's just go get a snack. Oh, there's a Buc-ee's. Let's see what the Buc-ee's all about. People might have saw my tweet and my Facebook post that I put about the Buc-ee's. We were like, it's going to be like a Pilot. It's going to be like a Casey's. You've been to one, you've been to them all. If you saw the picture of all the gas pumps, I mean, they went for miles, 2 deep, and it was two rows of 2 deep gas pumps forever, like a women's bathroom. They lined up always more than the men's. No matter how many women's stalls there are, they're always full, and the poor ladies have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. That's how the gas pumps were forever in the Buc-ee's. And then we go in, and it's like I said, it's part airport, it's part train station, it's part fall festival. If you're in Louisville, the equivalent of the state fair, fall festival, train station, all in a truck stop, and it is huge in there. It had to be like 1,000 people in there, just everywhere. There was a vendor. We didn't eat anything, but the people in the comments, everybody on the comments, you got to try the brisket sandwich. You got to try the brisket sandwich. We saw them making the brisket, and they were pounding high pulled pork. They were making burritos. They were making tacos. It was, humongous food, and they wasn't playing around with the portions. The bathrooms were huge and all clean, and there were people coming in cleaning them. There was regular size sinks for 2 people. You can go. I mean, it's like a house when you walk in there, and it's all clean. A pole area where you can buy merch if you want to get shirts and socks and shoes, and it was insane in there. So on the way back, I said, let's be a little bit hungry and let's try this brisket that we heard so much about. And the brisket was off the chain, and we each got a brisket sandwich and split a little chicken burrito, and it was off the chain. So Buc-ee's, they like Walmart on crack. Whatever you want is unlike anything you've ever been until you get in there and actually see it. So it was you just kind of have to soak it in when you go. It was, and here's the thing: on the way out, it's so big on the concrete. They got painted signs to tell you which way to get back to the interstate, so you can get out of the parking lot. It's like I-40 east to the left, 40 west to the right, on the parking lot of the Buc-ee's, so you can find your way out of the place. It was insane. So I just had to rant about the Buc-ee's for a minute.
Well, I'm gonna have to try that. The world's largest truck stop is here in Iowa
Okay.
on I-80, because I-80 pretty much, because it turns into I-70. I-80 runs the width east to west of America.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I-80 is what we were on when we went up to Idaho. Yeah.
Right.
So I-80 runs this way, and then there's Interstate 35, which goes up to Chicago, all the way down to Memphis, I think down to New Orleans. So those are the two main ones that run east to west, north and south. And that truck stop is where they meet.
Oh-wee.
And it is all that plus then some. Like it is its own world. You can rent a room. You can it is one of those places. So it sounds like Bucky's trying to do like that.
Yeah.
But that place, I'll have to send you pictures, because I drive by it. I don't want to get in the parking lot because I'm being there for 45 minutes because it's that kind of crazy. But it's where those two big interstates meet, and it's, you name it, it's there. You do laundry, you can do all kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's a spot. It's a spot. But
you know how people on Twitter are. So I said it's like part airport, part train station, part fall festival, part state fair, all rolled into a truck stop. And so somebody gonna reply, "No trucks allowed." But you know what I meant. It still gives that truck stop feel. So, Mr.
Right. But
it ain't no
this place
allowed. You know what I meant.
Yeah, it's a truck. It's everything. It is everything. There's a mechanic on duty. You can get your oil change, and all that kind of stuff. But we got to talk a little bit about football.
Absolutely.
We got to talk about Kentucky football, and what a win against Mississippi State. What a great win. First half not hot. Second half they locked in the offensive line. I hope this is the next step forward.
Yeah.
They did what they had to do. And you and I have talked about this forever. Kentucky's at that stage now where mistakes are okay because we have enough talent to overcome them. Now, against Ole Miss, we can't overcome 5, but 4 we can overcome. Right?
Yeah.
We can still have a chance to win. So I am encouraged. Will Levis is that dude.
Yeah. And it was 1 became 2. We didn't want to see that, but you sure didn't want to see 2 become 3. And Mississippi State kind of, in start where they always win. We always win in Lexington, but they were good. And I think Mississippi State was better than a lot of people thought. They were ranked. Will Rogers for them has been passing the ball, got more completions than anybody in the SEC, broke Aaron Murray's record or something like that. And they had this newfangled running game to go with the air attack. So they were going to be 2-dimensional and that much tougher for us to defend. And they did absolutely nothing in the second half. And you mentioned the O-line. They kind of clicked. This was the first time them kind of clicking a little bit. And C-Rod was doing C-Rod things. And, one little mistake, like you meant, the pick 6, or Kentucky would have beat them by more than they did. They would have really ran away from them.
Right. And that's the thing that what I was talking about as far as mistakes. Will throws the pick 6, the lead goes to 3, and it's like,
Yeah.
And you're like, we need a drive. And just as cool as you wanted to, Will and C-Rod marched methodically down the field. The offensive line tightened up. Everybody did what they had to do. That's how you respond. That's how you take care of that. Like I tell everybody, look, mistakes are going to happen. Everybody makes mistakes. Tom Brady has made mistakes. Like my man Joe Montana over here, my football has made some mistakes. But can you go out and overcome those mistakes? That's
Mhm.
what champions are all about. That's how you get to that next level. Is okay, we got knocked down. Can we keep coming? And that was my takeaway with Ole Miss. Any one of those mistakes is enough to be disheartening. And
Mhm.
you and I have seen teams, not just Kentucky teams, but teams in general, one mistake becomes two or three, and now you're in a hole.
Yep.
Right? We've seen that.
Mhm.
Just like we've seen, 2 game losing streak turn into 10.
Mhm.
We've seen that.
Yep.
But this team is tough and resilient. It's taken on, well, all the teams have taken on Coach Stoops' personality.
Mhm.
Very little flash.
Yep. Meat and potatoes.
But Kentucky under Stoops is at their best when they are punishing and imposing their will on teams. I
That's
mean, I
it.
know that's not a rarity but I'm just they keep coming. So I know we'll talk about the Cats coming to your neck of the woods in 2 weeks, but
Mm.
I'm pleased with the Mississippi State game. I don't know how you can't be. Well, they didn't do anything in the first half. That's why the game's not over in the first half.
Yeah,
That's why there's the second half to the game.
because the first half, like you said, it looked like, is it going to be the hangover from South Carolina? Is it? It was just like they was in a funk. They couldn't get going. Couldn't get it rolling. Couldn't get their own way. But like you said, they went in and dug deep, uh, came out, and then finished. Came out and finished. You know the penalties in the first half, just all the stuff at home. So it was just like a little cloud was just still over.
Yeah.
They pushed the cloud off for themselves and got it going in the second half. So it was, and defensively to shut them down like that, they Mississippi State had been rolling. I mean,
Yeah, and that dink and dunk kind of passing game. Brad White, I think, is finally getting some love for the defenses that he's crafting.
mm,
Now he's going to have to do something going to Neyland Stadium.
yeah,
Definitely going to have to do that. The game plan has got to be airtight and it's got to be executed. But nothing's dissuaded me from thinking we can go down to Knoxville and win. This
mm,
team is different, and I keep saying uh, what's going to be disheartening is if Tennessee goes up 7-0, and then it's going to be, oh no, Kentucky, because I saw them in 1998 and blah 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 and 72 blah 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 blah, and you can keep pointing to just this year, just this year. I used to say you could look at the bowl game. I'm gonna look at this year at Florida,
mhm.
against Mississippi State, and even at Ole Miss. Those are examples I can point to. This team can get it done. Well, they didn't against South Carolina. I just gave you three. You giving me one. Three is greater than one.
That's right. That's right. And considering they do get down and get punched in the mouth and battle back and against all these highfalutin offenses, make still make it a Coach Stoops kind of game. They battle back. They're not trying to get down. Let's get down 16-7 to Florida. Let's get down 19-6 at Ole Miss. They want to get out of the gates fast. They're wanting to. So it's not like they're not addressing that and looking for ways to, hey, how can we get a good start in the first quarter to where we're not having to rally back? So let's imagine they go to Knoxville and throw the first punch instead of taking Tennessee's first punch. That's possible too.
It,
Look at last year. Tennessee kept scoring every 2 seconds. They was hitting us with bombs. They rallied back in that game. It was the pick six that ended up losing the game last year. So they can play with Tennessee. They won in Needham last time they was there. I don't care. It was COVID and it was Pruitt. They won down there. A lot of these guys on that roster.
It still counts.
Yeah, all these guys on that roster just won the last time they were down there. So, they beat Alabama. Give them credit. Nobody saw it coming. Well, it was their best chance to beat Alabama, but most people still thought Bama would win. And Bama still, as bad as they played, should have won. homeboy had a Leon Lett moment where he goes and tries to pick up the punt. That gave him another possession. Now give him credit for going to score, but you gave him another possession. But Tennessee had the ball Alabama had the ball with 30 seconds left. All you got to do is get in field goal range and get closer for your boy to give him a better kick, and Alabama still wins the game.
Florida was a whole lot closer, and that's the thing too. You look at Tennessee's wins, against Pitt. They've had a couple of blowouts, but they've also had, like most teams, 3 or 4 plays go a different way, and the next thing you know, Tennessee's lost. So, but focusing on Kentucky right now, the defense is playing well. The defense has played well enough for Kentucky to be undefeated
all year long. Yep.
I know they didn't look great in the second half against South Carolina, but they still played well enough to win that game.
Yep.
So the defense has been there. If the offense can come out and get rolling early, I like my chances. I like my chances with that. So, but football, I'm excited. I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to what else is going on in the football world, but go Cats, man! I'm very excited. As you and I've talked about, you've got to win these games. You've got to figure out how to do this to be the hunted instead of the hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of teams that are gunning for Kentucky. And we've got to get past that point of, oh, you lost to Kentucky, something's wrong. No, Kentucky's just a good program.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's it. So 5-2 heading into the bye. Get the rest up, which they needed. Coach Stoops talked about guys getting guys healed up. Taven Robinson didn't play. Got some guys on the offensive line banged up, and Levis has been banged up because he's taking a lot of hits, and already missed one game, so you get him back healthy, and the pressure. We had Max Godby on Believe in Kentucky last night. The pressure is going to be on Tennessee. They just beat Alabama. People are already talking about Tennessee, Georgia, which they're looking ahead of Kentucky, and the media types are, the talking head types are. Yeah. Vol Nation is looking past a lot of them. You got some rational ones that are reasonable and we still got got UT Martin. You better not come out and just have the big head, and then you still got Kentucky. So it's potential trap game for them because they play Georgia the week after they play us in Athens, and they just beat Alabama. So the pressure will be on them to come out and try to maintain, and all the coach speak, keep out all the noise and one game at a time and all that kind of stuff. So, Kentucky come in there and, house money and, let it rip and see what happens.
Yeah, come out explosive, start playing ahead and grind out some drives. Even though Tennessee scores quickly, can they do it coming from behind?
Mm-hmm.
You and I talk all the time about that game pressure. And if Kentucky has a 3 to 7 point lead going, in the second half at any point, how does Tennessee handle it? Because that's what happened against Florida. They were boat racing Florida. Florida got a touchdown here, got some other points there. Now it's game pressure. Now it's right. You're like this a little bit. So I'm encouraged. I'm not going down there, or not like I'm playing, but I don't think we're going to go down there. I'm not expecting a loss. I think Kentucky can win. Number one, because of the defense. And number two, we've got playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can kick off to Barry Brown if you want to. You can punt to him if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But we have seen you make a mistake, he's going to make you pay. Now, he's not quite to Devin Hester level yet, but I have a feel before he leaves, he's going to be that dude.
Yeah.
Where we're going directional punt. The other team not even going to we will kick it out of bounds, give it to you on 35. Because it's better than letting this dude get the ball in his hands. So we've got athletes. We're not going down there empty-handed with, plucky underdogs with just this ain't the movie Little Giants. This ain't you know, these underdog stories. We're showing up with some dudes,
Nope. That's it.
and we've got dudes on both sides of the ball that can go toe to toe. Now we've got to play as close to mistake free as we can.
Mhm.
We can't beat ourselves. Like we gave Ole Miss 4 or 5 give me's. We can't do that. We can't go out there to Neyland and give up, commit 10 penalties like that. That's not how you get it done.
Mhm.
But the second half against Mississippi State, yeah, that's how you do it.
Yep.
Basically the last 3 quarters against Ole Miss, that's how you do it,
Mhm.
right? There's things that you can do uh, to give yourself a chance to win. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I know we got the bye week. It just so happens, my anniversary weekend seems to be the bye week again. So
Right. Happy anniversary in advance. Is Iowa
yeah,
off too?
do what?
Is Iowa off too again?
I didn't even see, but I thought that would be pretty crazy if they were off again the weekend of our anniversary. I thought that was pretty. Hey, we lucked out with both teams being 6-0 last year for the for our anniversary or for our wedding. So looking
Yeah.
forward to that. 1 year down, 1 year in Iowa. So looking forward to that. We
Right.
got a new house. We doing different things. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
pretty
And
excited.
that's for sure. I just sent the link to our guest. Hopefully he'll be hopping on a little bit. Look, we had some legendary Holland Countyans on, as you know, Bernie Bickerstaff and George Massey and
Absolutely.
Freddie Maggard and Brandy Romans and Charles Tinsley and Anthony Ravizzi and Renee Cornett. She became a KSR legend, and she's coined the succeed and proceed. And we had her on, and Lewis Morris, Macy Morris's dad. So hope to have another Harlan Countyan from Harlan, Longtime college, NCAA, and now USFL. Uh, Running backs coach, receiver coach, quarterback coach, uh, head coaching stint at Kentucky State. Larry Kirksey is set to join us here in a few minutes. You name him, and when it comes to NFL wideouts, he's coached a ton of great wide receivers, including the greatest, whom we all know who that is. That yes. So can't wait to talk to Larry about his time coaching one Jerry Rice and a host of other wideouts in the NFL, the college, won championships at both levels. So hope to talk with
Yeah.
Larry in a minute. He won't. He says don't call him Mister. I'm struggling because he's older. He's about a couple years older than my dad, so I'm wanting to say Mr. Kirksey, but I was talking to him the other day, and he said he made sure to let me know that it's Larry. So looking forward to having Larry Kirksey on here
Yeah.
in a few minutes TV. So it's going to be another fun guest that we can say that we got to talk to on here.
Absolutely. But the NBA's back.
Whew, I was gonna let you segue to that since your team's played a game in Manhattan. I was gonna let you go on a segue and how we feeling? How we feeling, Laker Nation? Dennis Schroeder. That's what if you had Schroeder, it'd be different. It'd been different. That's what y'all need.
Man, it is what it is. Like, I know that this didn't quite go how we thought with LeBron when he first signed with LA and then trading for AD. This isn't what we thought we were getting. But and I like Russell Westbrook. I think he's become a lightning rod for a lot of things, but that was a bad move. It was just a bad move. Uh, too many dudes that need the ball in their hands. And Russ was never the playmaker. And so I was concerned about that. And yay, verily, it came to pass that it's just not working. Too many ball stoppers, not enough ball movers, not enough shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Some dude played last night. I was like, is it Austin Reeves? I
Yeah.
think that's who it was. I was like, who and what? We
Yeah,
going back to the Tariq Black days and the Ronnie Turioff days. And like, come on, man. But
it's just
I'm at peace with it.
it's just quiet, purple and gold all day for you. And we will pick this back up too. But man, our guest is on here now. We was just talking about him and bragging about him and all the great things he's done on his journey in the college ranks, in the NFL ranks, all the receivers he's crossed paths with from Harlan County. So another legendary Harlan County, and we was talking about Bernie Bickerstaff and all those that have been on here with us. Won't let me call him Mister, so I'm gonna introduce Larry Kirksey to the show. TV, Larry, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Benny. Hey, Terry.
Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Well, I tell you what, when hometown calls, you got to answer the call.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. And if my dad was here, you know he'd be right here on this other little screen with us, Larry. So
Absolutely.
I should have had you on way before now, but I'm sure glad you're here now.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And still staying busy, man. Look, I put out on Twitter that we're having you on, and you know, longtime college and NFL coach, and I forgot to put USFL. That's what you're currently doing now. So my apologies.
Well, no, I'm through with the USFL. That season is come and gone.
Okay.
And so what I'm doing now, Benny, is they have an organization called the NFL Alumni Academy. And what this academy does, it invites former college players that have been in the NFL or XFL or USFL to come and we take them in the classroom and we take them on the field, 4 days a week, and try to get them up to speed to actually get back into the league or go to the XFL or the USFL and play.
That is good stuff. So that's still a job in itself, I would imagine.
Well, it's fun right now because I don't have to worry about a blitz pickup. I don't have to worry about a game plan, It's just about me in the classroom with the video, and I have video to show them the right way to do it. We'll go on the field and we work techniques and things of that nature. So this is just teaching. This is really fun. It's like an hour, 15 minutes on the field, an hour and a half in the classroom, and call it a day. So that's really good.
There you go. I mentioned I put out the tweet that we're having you on here, and a lot of people from home or a lot of people that follow replied. Pat P Wood 399 on Twitter said Larry Kirksey was an excellent athlete and a gentleman too, one of the best to play at Harlan. So for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I ain't trying to get all in your business, but tell us a little bit about yourself back in the day at Rosenwald and Harlan and
Well,
the receiver and everything you did.
Well, we all got a story to tell. And, my story is not a feel sorry for me story. My story is a feel good story. Coming from a family of 11 children, mom died when I was 3 years old. Dad had a third grade education, coal miner, as you know. Like I said, one day out of the blue, one of my older brothers came home and said, "Hey, you need to play sports, get a scholarship because the little man can't send you to college." So right away, I listened to him and I started in the parks and, on the playgrounds. And then I got into high school, and started to play and earned a scholarship. And, like all kids growing up, you want to be a professional football player. And I did too. And of course, the Cincinnati Bengals, I just came into being at that time, as I was finishing high school. So naturally, I want to be a Bengal. Well, it didn't work out that way. And so what happened is that I knew early on because of, Doc Gray. Remember Doc Gray?
Yes, sir.
And Coach Walker. And I knew early on that I wanted to be a coach. And so it worked out from the standpoint that I went off to college, and I needed 9 hours to graduate after 4 years. Again, I partied a little bit, I guess you could say. So I went back to college. I was a student coach, got my degree. So I did my student teaching, and then at 23 years old, I was offered a job at Miami University in Ohio. And after that, it's just a fast track after that. And I've been very blessed and very fortunate to coach a lot of great players, coach with a lot of great coaches. And along the way, to raise a family, and, have a wife to stand by me for 43 years and I moved her 15 times. My daughter went to 3 colleges. My son went to 3 high schools. So, but it all worked out in the end. So it's been, like I said, a very rewarding career. At the same time, I can't forget home because that's where it all started from.
Absolutely. And you can just talk about whatever you want to. I'm trying not to ask questions that maybe you've been asked before, but after Miami, you come back to the home state of Kentucky and your own Coach Kirksey staff for that 77 squad. So what was it like coaching receivers? You had Derek Ramsey there and Art Steele and those guys. And so what was it like being a coach on that squad?
Well, I got to tell a couple of stories. You guys got time. And so what happened is I came to Kentucky from Miami of Ohio, right? And when I was at Miami of Ohio, and Derek Ramsey and those guys can tell you, we played the University of Kentucky, and we beat Kentucky. And so all of a sudden, 2 years later, Frank Kirksey hires me at Kentucky. And I'll never forget, and I tease Coach Kirksey about this every time I see him. I came from Miami of Ohio. We started spring practice, and the first day of spring ball, it actually snowed the night before, so the field was covered with snow. And so we go out to practice, and I was coaching receivers, and I had this one receiver, Felix Wilson, to do something, and Fran didn't like what I told him to do. So after practice, I come into the locker room, and all the coaches kind of just left out, and I walk in, and Fran proceeds to just chew me out the first day of spring ball. So I'm thinking to myself, what have I done? I can't go back to Miami of Ohio. So I took it like a man, young coach, because I was 26, 27 at the time, and my second year, in a different place. But at the same time, we finished that season, like you said, 10-1. We had a great football team. And I never forget when Frank Kirksey came up to me after the season was over. He said, Larry, he said, I owe you an apology. I made a mistake. You were telling the receivers correctly what to do. You coached them the way all year. And he said, hey, you did a heck of a job. So that right there also propelled me on to believe that I was doing the right things. And like I said, I got into the coaching business at 23 years old. I was fresh out of college. And at Miami of Ohio, I coached a guy that went to Vietnam and came back. So, he was older than I was. So, but at the same time, it's been like I said, I coached with a lot of great coaches and coached a lot of great players. So, I mean, I just can go on and on. But, I didn't do this by myself. Again, I had some help along the way.
I guess I'm kind of fascinated with this, when a new coach, you get hired by a team, they want you to come. You think, okay, this is a good move, so I'm going to make the move and join this staff. Is it hard to kind of mesh what you've been doing and teaching with this coordinator or with this group? And do you have to change what you do, or do you kind of stick to what you're doing because, hey, they wanted me, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing? Yeah. How do you kind of walk that fine line when you take a new job and join a new squad?
Well, and again, that's a good question. I just like these young guys coming from college football, and I'll touch it and come back to it, is that the bottom line is that, football hasn't changed. It really hasn't. It's how you teach it and how you coach it. And there's always different terminology, from wherever you go. I mean, we were in Kentucky, we were a little bit of wishbone and a little play action pass, a little bit drop back. It's not like the guy at Georgia Tech or back in the day, the wishbone, like the guy at Army, what they do, or Navy, and they're good at what they do. But football, it's changed a little bit. But anytime you go to a different coaching staff, there's different terminology. But again, I teach right now pretty much the West Coast system, and that's been very successful. And a lot of teams still in the NFL still runs that system. So that's good. And it's mostly verbiage, double right, full west right slot, 2-jet, flank and drive, halfback. So we tell everybody what to do. And so I went to the Atlanta Falcons practice, and Calvin Ridley, who is an outstanding player, I went to practice one day this rookie year, and Matt Ryan was just chewing his butt out because he couldn't get lined up right. But he figured it out in a hurry. and he had a great rookie season. So it's just a matter of those guys also, hey, this is your job, whether it's college or professional. And I always use this in life. There's 5 principles. If I can't get lined up, I can't play. So, college football, a lot of those guys never get in huddles. They stand out on the sideline and they signal to them, right? And that's easy. But if I got to get in a huddle and they got to call a formation, they're telling you where to go with the formation. They got to call the play. They're telling you what the play is. And on this play, you can have 2 or 3 things to do. And then they're going to call the snap count. So now I'm on 1, on 2, on 3. And so all of a sudden, a young player, they got to take alignment, the play, all this verbiage, then go get lined up and do what you're supposed to do. And I know it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But those guys, they have to put the time in to learn all this in order to be successful. But alignment is key. And it's the same thing in life. It's who you align yourself with. The people you hang out with. That's very important, And in life, when you get a job, your assignment in that job is go do what? Do that job. You don't do that job, what happens? They get rid of you.
Oh.
And again, talk about technique. Well, I go in. Remember that song? I went left. They told me to go right. Well, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, if I go inside and I should have gone outside, then I didn't do the right thing. And you can't do the last one or the next to the last one. It's called execution. You can't execute if I can't get lined up. I don't know my assignment. I don't use a proper technique. How can I execute the play that's been called? And so that's just like I said, but that's just part of life too. And I've used that, talking to young kids growing up and even, Jerry Rice and those guys we talk about. And Jerry was always the consummate pro because, hey, he wants to know everything. So,
We got a 49ers fan over here, Larry. I mean, so
Terry, when Vinny said you were coming on, Larry, I said I gotta talk because I'm a diehard 49ers fan. Jerry Rice has been my guy. Look, I've got my pictures, I've got my little figurines. So I've got to just touch base on just that Super Bowl 29 and the experience of going through that, being on the staff, and getting to that point after you've paid your dues in the college ranks, you've been at Kentucky, you've done all this, but now you're at the Super Bowl and you've got all these receivers. And again, my personal dude, Jay Rice, what was that season and that moment like as far as your journey? What was that like?
Well, so that was the alarm to let me know that I had to be on the show. So y'all wouldn't forget because, sometimes, you forget things of that nature. But anyway, make sure it's off here. Hold on. To answer your question, did you know? Well, I was 43 years old. Hold on a second. I was 43 years old when I went to San Fran. And I had coached for 20 plus years. 20 plus years prior to that. And I had never gone to an NFL game in my life. When I was at Miami of Ohio, I was going to go to the Bengals game, but it was cold and I didn't want to go. But anyway, I've never gone to an NFL game. And so the first NFL game that I've ever seen in my life was the first game I coached in for the San Francisco 49ers. And the first game that I coached in for the 49ers, Jerry Rice broke the all-time touchdown record that night on Monday Night Football against the Oakland Raiders. So to answer your question, Terry, I mean, it started out with a bang. I mean, what a way to start. So all of a sudden, I think we're 3-0, and I think Philadelphia came to town, or we're 2-1. Philadelphia came to 2-0. Philadelphia came to town and killed us, the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was like, whoa. But they beat us, and then we ran off another 12 in a row, I think it was, or 11 in a row. And we lost one more just to get ready for the Super Bowl. But I was on that staff, and I was with that staff that had gone to 2 NFC championship games in a row and got beat by the Cowboys. So I come in there, and my buddy at the time, who I coached with at the University of Alabama, was a tight end coach. He said, Larry, when the playoffs start, it's different. And I never forget Steve Young after we lost to Minnesota Vikings last game of the season because we didn't play everybody. He said, next week, the season starts again. He said, and the atmosphere was totally different. I mean, totally different. You're talking about guys that were tuned into what was going on. And so I think we played the Giants the first ball game, and we got them pretty good. It was the Giants or the Bears. Got them pretty good. So the next week, because we were the champions, the Cowboys had to come to us to play that game. And naturally, they had beat us two seasons in a row to go to Super Bowl. So we found a way. I mean, of course, we had Dion. That helped too. And so we found a way to win that game. And all of a sudden, we go into the Super Bowl. And the guys, again, kept saying, yeah, it's just nothing like it. It's just unbelievable. So we get to the Super Bowl, and again, preparation a week before the game starts. And again, the first couple of days, everybody's out having a good time doing this and that. And all of a sudden, on Thursday, they were locked in again. And that night, it was just unbelievable. So that's Siri. And so that night, it was unbelievable that we could go out and do the things we did. I think Steve Young threw for 6 touchdown passes. I think Jerry caught 3 of them. And it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just like, wow, you know. And I was very blessed to be able to do something like that. You know, in my life, I knew I wanted to marry a beautiful woman, have great kids, done deal. I knew I wanted to win a college national championship, done deal. I knew I wanted to win a Super Bowl. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, to get a chance to give back, Terry, Vinny. But it's unbelievable. It's a great feeling. And like I said, that's the ultimate goal, is to win a Super Bowl. And very fortunate to do that. And in college football, the ultimate goal is to win a national championship. Just like in high school. And Vinny, you were too young. You didn't know this. But in high school, my senior year, we tied Lynch. It's the greatest game ever in Harlan County. They still say that. The greatest game ever in Harlan County. But before the tie happened, I scored a winning touchdown over Joe Washington. Ask Joe about that. I scored it, and they called back a legal procedure with no time left. How about that?
Wow.
Wow.
Joe is my cousin. That's my grandmother, my mom's mom, and Joe's dad are brother and sister. So Joe, we all called him Fat Man back then. Joe is my cousin, and he went on down to EKU, one of the best running backs to ever come out of Kentucky.
Well, we were roommates. We were roommates in college. Joe and I were. We used to ride home all the time together. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You rubbed that play in on him. I know you had to let him.
Every chance I get. Every chance I get. And he knows. Just ask him about it next time you see him. Just ask him about it. But anyway, that's one of the greatest games ever in Harlan County. So
absolutely. And you, like Terry, like you mentioned, talking about the Super Bowl, you just come off a championship at Alabama. Y'all whooped that Miami squad with Gino Torretta, and you were on that staff too.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to be on that staff, and that was a great win. In fact, to me, that was really a great win. You know, to be a part of that. I never dreamed of coaching Alabama. It's just funny. You know, I coached against the Bear. Not to say that I'm a dinosaur, but I'll never forget going up to him as a young man and introducing myself, and he growled at me and said, "I know who you are. I know where you're from." Oh, geez. So,
wow.
But it was really cool. But awesome. And this spring, I was at the USFL, and then we won the USFL championship this past year in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I knew Terry was going to get on the 49ers and about y'all beating the Cowboys for a year. I got to ask.
I had to ask about Super Bowl 29. I had to.
That's right. Did you ever go and run that hill with Jerry Rice?
No, I didn't. Didn't have to. Wasn't going to. Wasn't going to either. No.
I just wondered because,
No,
um,
that wasn't going to happen.
but yeah, you just left that up to him and whoever he brought. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I understand. I understand. Oh, but all these wide receivers you coach. I mean, Jerry the greatest ever, but I mean Andre Johnson and Johnny Morton, and what is there common traits that you find? T.O. Are there common traits you find with these guys, or is it how do you different personalities and all that you got to work through?
Again, you got to understand this, Manny. And I know they call them. There's a name for wide receivers. What they call them?
Divas.
Divas. Okay.
Divas, yeah.
And the thing about it is that I was a receiver too, but I wasn't a diva. Okay, I was not a diva, and each one is different. And no two people are the same, and so they know me as Coach Kirksey, and I'm mild mannered. I don't scream, don't yell, don't get excited at all, whatsoever. But if I do, then everybody stops and looks, say, "Oh crap, somebody pissed him off." But that's a good thing because Jerry would tell you, he'd look over and if they're not doing something they're supposed to be doing, he'd say, "Hey guys, let's pick it up, let's get going." And T.O., Andre Johnson, they're all the same. And but you treat them all as men, but at the same time, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then I'm going to let them know. And it was just a great relationship that I had with all those guys. That again, in fact, I just talked to Andre Johnson a couple weeks ago, and just missed Jerry. And I talked to T.O. often, and so I talked to Emmitt Smith from time to time. So, but.
You coached Emmitt at Florida, right?
I coached Emmitt at Florida, yeah. So
all-time leading rusher for the Cowboys, TB, in case you didn't know.
So, but like I said, once you get those relationships, you hold on to them. That's just like I said, I knew your dad and Joe and all those guys, man. I grew up watching all those other guys. That's why I was so inspired, to be a good athlete, to get a scholarship, and do the things I've done because of the men that have come before me. And so that was so important to me. And that's just the way, again, I've always patted myself and doing things the right way too.
Is there a wide receiver that you coached? I know you probably try to fight against judging a book by its cover, but is there a receiver that you coached and you maybe thought, well, I don't know if I'm gonna get much out of this guy, and then it turns out that I got more out of this guy. This guy had more to him than I thought. He's better than I thought.
Well, absolutely, and like I said, every receiver is different. One of those young guys would be Jacoby Jones. I coached Jacoby Jones for 5 years, and he's a very talented kid, and he loved to dance. He loved to have a good time, But it came to a point that he dropped a punt, and they went sour on it. Well, anyway, and he goes to Baltimore. What does he do at Baltimore? He propels them into the championship game when he caught the touchdown pass over Denver Broncos. And then he goes on to the Super Bowl and returns a kickoff 108 yards, catch a touchdown pass for 70 yards. Should have been MVP. But at the same time, I knew it was in him. And he showed that he had those skill sets. And it's not that you miss on too many, Benny. I mean, they got it. And if they got it, you'll know it. And the ones that don't have it, it's because they didn't, put what they needed to put in to get it. So you got to put in to get what you want out of it, right?
No, that makes sense. And going back to Kentucky, there's Carrington Valentine, a young corner on the team right now, and they were kind of down on him last year. A lot of them kept saying his trouble was route recognition. Now, your job is to make everything look the same. How do you go? Is there, we've heard about Jimmy Smith, who you coached, Torrey Holt, and some of those guys coming off the line where you can't tell, everything looks the same. Is there an art to that? Are guys born with that, or can you kind of help teach?
No. Yeah. You're not born that way. You got to work that to get to that standard, to get to that level. And I've never seen Jerry Rice run looking at the ground. I never see Jerry Rice run with his, standing upright. He's always, powering himself. T.O., Andre Johnson, even the great runners, they got pad leverage, and so they can get in and out. And so this is just guys working their craft. And can you improve a guy catching the football? Absolutely, because it's all about hand placement. I'm sure I can make you a pretty good receiver there, Terry. What do you think, Terry?
I'll take it. And the reason I kind of I don't want to say fell in love with Jerry Rice, but my dad and I, when I was younger, we watched him on Inside the NFL with Nick Bornicani and the Kansas City Chiefs, Lynn Dawson, that used to do it. And they were profiling Jerry Rice. And just at that point, he'd already been Offensive Rookie of the Year. He was everything. But they just showed him working out, making sure his foot placement was right. And I'm just sitting here enraptured by this because I'm like, he's already good. And I remember my dad kind of saying, that's how you become better. That's how you become best. You don't just stop when you reach that point, you keep going.
Absolutely.
Now, it turned into a discussion about me, with my homework, but that was that moment where I was like, okay, he's already, 20 touchdowns in the season already, but he just keeps doing it. Then you hear stories about the hill and all this kind of stuff. And that's been my thing is, when I tell Vinny, I never thought that Jerry was the fastest or maybe even had the best hands or all that stuff. But when you put everything together and it was a Sunday, there's probably nobody else a quarterback would want, split out wide than what Jerry was going to bring every single game. That's why I became a fan. That's me rambling, Vinny.
Well, and again, but you brought out some valid points, but the bottom line is that Randy Moss is a great receiver. Terrell Owens is a great receiver. They're not that's why they're Hall of Famers. There's some other guys that are Hall of Famers, but I don't put them, in that same category. Chris Carter's a Hall of Famer, and but I don't put him in that category. With the Jury and the T.O. and the Randy Moss. Reggie Wayne. I mean, not Reggie Wayne, but Marvin Harrison. I may put him in that category a little bit. He's a smaller guy, but I would put him in that category where you put them all in the bag and shake it up. I'll take either one of those guys.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But each one of those guys brings something different to the table, and they're true professionals. And so that's why they're in the Hall of Fame.
Now, going back to Terry and his 49ers, we saw a few years ago when Mike Singletary was a coach, and he sent Vernon Davis to the locker room. Can't coach with him, can't win with him. I'd rather have 10 guys and get a procedure call every play. Well, we saw another version of that with Robbie Anderson and Steve Wilkes. You mentioned how mild-mannered you are. Have you had any moments like that where you think a guy should be sent to the locker room, or does that happen more than we know? Or your take on things when it gets to that point where you're like, we don't even want you on the sideline with us. Just your thoughts on those kinds of situations.
Okay. And I'll give it to you. And you got to pick and choose your battles. Case in point, Jerry Rice. Jerry tore his knee up, and the second year I was there, first game of the season against Tampa Bay. You guys remember that, right?
Yep.
Tore his knee up.
Reverse.
So Bill Walsh said to me, Steve Mariucci was the head coach, and Bill Walsh, they called me to the office and said, who are you going to put to replace Jerry? Because Terrell was playing X, him and J.J. Stokes. They said, I'm going to take T.O. and put T.O. at Z. And T.O.'s never played Z, but if you know X, you got to know Z. That makes sense, don't it? So we went 13 games in a row, and we lose the NFC Championship game to Green Bay, Brett Favre, when they win the Super Bowl. So the next year, Jerry's back, and we're playing the Washington Redskins, open up that new stadium in D.C. on Monday Night Football. Okay. So Jerry's back, and so JJ's playing good, Turtle's playing good, and all of a sudden Jerry catches a pass on a post, and Darryl Green runs him down. Now Darryl Green's one of the fastest guy in the league, but Jerry's coming back, from that injury, but Darryl's just fast. So we get down in the red zone after that play, and Jerry don't get a touchdown. He comes off the sideline. He sits on the bench, and he fingers, waves to me, say, "Come here." And I go over, "What's up, Jerry? What's up?" And he yells at me, "If you think I'm going to be the third wheel in this receiver corps," he said, "you're crazy." So I immediately turn and walk away. I walk away, and all of a sudden he's coming after me. And Steve Mariucci's walking by me, and instead of getting me, he grabs Mariucci and yells at him. And then Mooch comes to me and says, "What's up with him?" I said, "Coach, just leave him alone. He's fine." After every game, win or lose, every game, we're on the road. I go to the back of the plane to see how everybody's doing, all the guys. My guys, any guys. That's just me. I go to the back of the plane. I go back there this time, and Jerry's asleep. So I let him sleep. So we land back in San Fran about 4 or 5 in the morning. I go to the hotel, get a few hours of sleep, then go into work. Okay. So this is Tuesday morning. So I'll go down to the training room, and Jerry's in the training room. And he's on the table, and he's icing his knee. He said, "Hey, Coach," he said, "you really pissed me off last night." And I'm thinking, what is he talking about now? He said, "When I was talking to you, you turned and walked away." And I said, "Jerry, you know me, right?" I said, "If I'd have stayed there, you and I would have been fighting on national TV." And he started to laugh, and he said, "Yeah, you're right, Coach, because, that's just our relationship." So that's the one and only time that, like I said, I don't want to do that on TV. No, I'm going to leave. No. You may go after me, but I'm not going to come after you. But that instance, the thing that happened Sunday, it's a bad look. I hate seeing it for us.
Yeah.
I just hate seeing it, but it's very unfortunate, but it happened. And I think it's a decision to part ways is probably good. Probably good. I'm being biased, but it's probably good. So anyway, like I said, so I try to avoid those situations.
Yeah. That was that. Like you said, pick your battles. That was the best play. The way you handled that with Jerry. Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
One last thing, Larry. You've been to all the stadiums. All of them are newer and getting more futuristic with each one they build. Not the old days with the bad turf and things of that nature. But if you had to pick one, which one now is still maybe the worst of all of them, and which one is your favorite of?
Well, the DC one had to be the worst right now. That's the worst one in the business right now. But again, the one in Las Vegas looks awful good, and the one in LA looks awful good. And those are the newer ones right now. So I would say those two right now are the Hotel Californias.
There we go.
So,
that's right.
Anyway, like I said, I've been blessed to play in all of them except for the one in LA and the one in the Raiders. And, not playing, but coaching them. So I've been fortunate from that standpoint. But, like I said, the game's been good to me and my family. And like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on. And if you weren't from home, I wouldn't do this for free.
There we go. You got that hometown discount. We appreciate it now.
I sure do.
But it's all good, man. And make sure you tell everybody I say hello.
I sure will. Honored to have you. And there's a lot of people who are going to be excited to hear it when it comes out. A lot of people from home already. So we're just honored to have you, and you took time out of your busy schedule. Appreciate all the giving back that you're doing now with the young guys and helping mold them and get off to a good start. This was an honor, Larry. It really was.
Well, like I said, if it wasn't for the hometown, it wouldn't have happened.
I understand.
All right.
And
We
last
thank
thing
you
I wanna
so
say-
much.
Last thing I'm going to say to you two guys, Mr. Brown, where are you from?
I'm from Louisville, sir.
Okay, I thought you were up next to those Browns up in Lynch. Tell me about those Browns in Lynch.
No, I'm from Louisville. I'm from up north a little bit.
What school in Louisville?
I went to Seneca.
I know what Seneca. That's where Bishop went, wasn't it? They went to UK. Oh, that was Kerry Eves. I think Kerry went to Seneca.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Mhm.
well, thanks for having me on, guys, and best of luck to you. And talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I know I was going to tell you. Yeah, I had to download Google to get on here, man. I'm a dinosaur. What do you got? You text me that thing? You know, Safari don't work.
There we go.
Come on.
We apologize. Larry.
Absolutely.
All right, love you guys.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you, sir.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Larry Kirksey, legendary Harlan County and TV. And
Well, you knew I had to ask.
yeah, what I say before we start recording, I said I'm gonna stay away from all the Niner stuff. I'm gonna let you have all of that, because when you Google him, that's why I sent you his Wikipedia.
Yeah, I looked and I saw, Niner. Yeah, as soon as I saw Niners and I did the math, I said,
Yeah.
he was there for that. And yeah, what a time. His first NFL game was when Jerry broke the record.
Man.
That's getting dropped in, and that's the season after being with Alabama. That's got to be a good feeling. On top of all the personal, that's fantastic. And
Yeah.
so he's in that position now where I hope to be one day where you can look back and give back a little bit. I know your dad was the same way. My dad was the same way. You accomplish kind of what you want to accomplish, and then you turn to help the next generation come back. Whether
Mhm.
it's like Larry was doing, coaching, or is doing, coaching those folks to get them where they want to be, and your dad doing everything he was doing, my dad helping folks out. So that's what it's all about, man. It's that point. And when you're young, you don't realize that. You just trying to get yours, right? But here we are at our mid-40s, and you kind of say, okay, you kind of stuck in between. You're like, okay, and you realize you wouldn't have got where you are without somebody guiding you.
Mhm.
Dad, coach, teacher, reverend, whoever. We all need somebody.
Mhm. It's like I said at my dad's funeral, which I was debating to even get up there and say anything, but I was like, you can't have perspective until you get it.
Yeah.
You might think you have it when you're 19 and 20, but then when
You
you
don't
get
know.
38 and 40 and you realize where you were at 19, you're like, oh no, I didn't know. I didn't have it. So yeah.
Well, and one of the things about becoming a parent is I see a lot of this stuff. See, we're gonna get serious for a minute, I guess, but that's okay. It's our show. We do what we want to do.
That's right.
You see all this stuff on, I hate to say social media because I sound like an old person, but just life in general. Oh, I had a tough life growing up and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not excusing like abuse and that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
but it's not until you have kids that you understand parenting is hard.
Mhm.
And those days that you remember your parents were rough or whatever it was, for me, it was coming home from work, had one of them days at work, flat tire on the way to work, drop the ball on the big project. Just, everybody's got those days. I come home and I'm like, oh, I got these two little people. They don't care nothing about what kind of day I had.
Mhm.
I got to be daddy,
Yep.
right? And so they wanted something. I didn't handle it right. I snapped or whatever it was. And then it hit me. All this stuff we talk about, our parents didn't do and they should have done X, Y, and Z. And then you realize they're just trying to do the best they can.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not excusing abuse. That is something different.
Mm.
But there are moments I go back in my childhood and I'm like, my mom should have done this. My dad should. Most parents are just trying to do the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
I see this thing. Sometimes being a parent just means at the end of the day, is everybody still alive?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a win. That's
Mm-hmm.
an absolute win. Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not one of those people, you got to have, you got to learn something every day. Now, some days you just got to get through the day, right? Some days we made it 24 hours. That's an absolute win,
That's right.
right? Is
Yep.
everybody still alive? Yeah, but this one's not happy. That ain't what I said, right? This one's hungry. That ain't what I said. Is everybody still alive and accounted for? We left with 4. Did we come back with 4? We did. Is it the right 4? Yes. If everybody go to sleep, that's a good day. That's okay
Mm-hmm.
as a parent. Parenting's hard, man.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I don't think we give it enough credit, which is weird because a lot of people have kids. Like we all know parenting is hard, but who's harder on the parents is the other parents. Like you now look, before I had kids, I'd be at the store somewhere and you see somebody's kid just showing out. And I would be like, I was one of those,
Yeah.
when I have kids,
Yo.
you ain't been a parent until you have picked up a 3-year-old, slung them over your shoulder, and they scream, and that to me that's a parenting milestone.
Mm-hmm. That's
Because
when
I'm
you win.
like, right, like, oh, you can just talk to the kid. You can't reason with a kid. You ask a kid, do you want blue or red? And she says China. Y'all not even having the same discussions at that point. And the kid get mad. We've all been there. What do you want for dinner? I want these dinosaur chicken nuggets. Are you sure? Yes. What do you want with them? I want some fries. You sure? Yes. You put them in the stove, you work on it, you put it on the plate. What will your kid look at you in the face and say? I don't even want this. And that's why kids is adorable because ain't nobody else gonna do you like that.
Yo.
If I come to your house, Vinny, and you're like, hey, whatever you want, I'm gonna cook it. I'm gonna say, Vinny, I would like some chicken. You want me to fry it? Yes, Vinny, please fry that chicken. I would like some greens on the side. And you put all that work in, and you put that plate in front of me, and I say, no, that's got to be a fist fight at that point. Because can't nobody do you like that but kids. So
Yeah.
as you get older and you realize, again, parents just doing the best they can. And,
Mm-hmm.
and as your kids go, boy, we really being heavy tonight. But I think it's a good thing. We
Yeah.
parents.
It's a little bit. Yeah.
And the downside to being a parent, one of the downsides is by the time you kind of figure out how to parent, your kid moved to the next stage.
Yep.
By the time you figure out how to wrap the baby so the baby sleep through the night and all this kind of stuff, it's time for a toddler bed.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you figure out, you got your bike and all this, they move into the next stage. That's what trips you up.
Yo.
And then you reach a point now, like, hey, I got him 16, 13. I don't know what's going on. I get emoji text, I get reaction to text. That's about what I get.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just different. So,
Yep.
but anyway, I didn't mean to go down that tangent, but
Okay.
look, I'm gonna say this. People with no kids, sometimes staying quiet is free. Sometimes it's staying free.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. You are the best friend to the little kids and your aunt so and so and uncle so and so. The difference is when you're the parent, when you're responsible for this child, right? If this child mess up or whatever happens to the child, it's on me.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yep. Yep.
Whether it's the state, whether whatever higher power you believe in, you responsible for it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to make those decisions. What decision can I make that's not going to give them a bad memory they got to talk to a therapist down the road about? Am I
Mm-hmm.
right? You act like Okay, how do I handle this so I don't scar them, but I still got to, it's hard.
Mhm.
Growing up is hard. We don't give that enough. Kids growing up is hard. It just is.
Mhm.
And being a parent ain't easy.
That's
And let
it.
me wrap by saying this. I understand. Being a mom is a rough job. It's the worst job ever. I get that. I concede that point. My counterpoint or my addendum to that is being an involved father ain't easy either.
Yeah. Nope.
I'll concede being because every kid reaches that point, Dad, you won't do, gotta go to mom. I respect it, been there myself, right?
Mhm.
But being an involved dad is also a challenge in and of itself.
Mhm.
Because parenting in general, it is hard. It is exhausting. And it never stops. Because I call my mom right today. It never stops.
That's what my mom said. She said it. The worry never stops. It just changes. It just what you worry about and how you worry about it changes. I don't worry about you the same now as when you was in kindergarten, but that don't mean I don't worry about you. I worry about you now and your kids. Now that you got
Right.
kids of your own. I don't worry about you missing the bus or falling and skinning your knee on your bike, which those were worries when you were, 3, 4, 5 years old, and you worry about that stuff. But
Right.
it just changes and evolves the way the
Right.
worry is happening.
Right. Mom B worried about me now. I talked to her. She's figured out how to get Des Moines weather, Iowa weather on her phone.
Oh boy.
So whatever's happening, she'll give me a call. Are you okay? I see they got some winds there. Yeah, it's pretty windy here. Or whatever the temperature is, she's still checking on me, and I'm 45.
Yep. Yep.
But that's just how it goes, So I don't begrudge people that. So anyway, enough about that serious talk. My Lakers probably gonna be trash this year, so
And
but it's gonna be fun trash.
and Draymond and Jordan didn't punch each other while they played the Lakers last night.
Look, man, have we ever seen someone? Let me choose my words carefully. Have we? Draymond has got to be the least talented individual to get a pass from the organization in NBA history.
Didn't he miss any games? Have your time
I
away. Come
mean,
back for the game. Get your ring. Like ain't nothing happened.
I don't get it. Internally, maybe whatever Draymond's given, they recognize is not being quantifiable. But even as basketball things go, I was surprised that when the video came out, nothing happened.
Mhm.
Now I understand, there's video that we haven't seen, like we've never seen Spreewell actually choke Carlissimo. To me, the video always makes it worse. I can tell you something, but until you see it, that's humans, and it works for a myriad of things. Ray Rice, remember, was only going to get 2 games until the video came out, and you can't. No. You
Can't check
can't
that.
do that
Yeah.
with the video.
Mhm.
Uh, Video and all that stuff adds to it. I mean, good for the Warriors, but I don't know. I guess they worked through it with Poole and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to say, well, I would have done something. I have a hard time believing friend, coworker, teammate could punch me in my face like that, and that be the end of it.
And I gotta see you every day.
That to me, good for them if they're able to move past it. That to me, that's a I could not do that. If they can and they can talk it out, good for them. But it's going to be a little bit more than I'm sorry to get me past that.
The book we're on the outside looking in, but it doesn't feel like the book is closed, don't it? And the season just started. We got to go 81 more games together every day, at practice every day, on road trips every day, in the locker room every day.
And I don't subscribe to that toxic masculinity thing where I got to be the dog and all this kind of stuff. I have to say, for me, my mama has seen that video, right? Like that's my family has seen it. I like, again, I don't want to say, what another person should do. I'm just saying for me personally, I would have a tough time punching in on a time clock with this dude to punch me in the face like that. Like, we got to finish what this was. Physically, we got to finish this. I know we got to finish this up. Because you're not going to sleep me and then catch me. No, man. Like, I just would have a tough time with that. But the Warriors seem to be like, whatever Draymond does, they just like, okay, cool. I've just never seen someone at that level get the super duper star treatment.
Right.
Like Michael Jordan punching Steve Kerr. There wasn't anything MJ was going to do in and around Chicago that wasn't going to be okay. So I get that. And Steve Kerr is him and MJ because he also fought Jordan back.
Yeah.
It was a punch, but it doesn't end the punch. It doesn't end with the punch. Like, we have to have another discussion. And they were able to build off that. And I'd imagine that most most locker rooms, clubhouses, you're going to have dust ups because you locked in with these folks away from your family for long stretches. Tensions run high. I mean, think about the person in your office you don't like. Can you imagine traveling with that person from city to city? On a plane with that person?
Yep. Practice.
I couldn't.
Film session. Everything.
Yeah, you naturally are going to get kind of, stuff happens, especially if it's but the thing that kills me is people, well, in an office, they're not in an office. Stop it. It's not the same thing. No. Yeah. Well, in the real, no. That is completely different. It's apples and oranges. You don't show up to your workplace and put on gym shoes and sweatshirt, and shorts and a tee. It's not the same thing. It's not the same. It's not going to happen. Well, in an office, no. Ted from accounting, you all can't have beef like that. That's not going to work. So, NBA to me is wide open. I see a lot of people, putting the Clippers down. You can if you want to, but Kawhi Leonard's missed like 3 complete seasons in the last like 4 or 5, and he's 31, 32. That's asking a lot.
Yeah. I went a little weird though with mine. I put Sixers Nuggets, and we've seen it every year. You just mentioned Kawhi Leonard. The ring he got with Toronto, he had the shot bounce on the rim 15 times to beat Philly, and then you have Clay and KD getting hurt in the finals. So I mean, if they're healthy, him beating the Warriors, I don't know. But somebody always gets hurt, or maybe the 1 seed has injuries or stuff like that. And that's why I went the way I went. I went Sixers Nuggets. The Sixers perennially underachieve and don't do what they're supposed to. Embiid always seems to not be healthy come playoff time. But I think for whatever reason, they're going to catch all the breaks. The Nuggets have been kind of knocking on that door. Murray's back healthy. I think they'll have their full squad. And for once, the Sixers will be healthy, and there'll be something fluky in the East. I think the Sixers come out of the East, Denver comes out of the West. It's a little bit odd. But the window for Philly is closing. They better get it together quick if they're going to do it. And I'm just saying it's going to be a big man, Jokic, Embiid kind of finals, and Philly, Denver.
Well, I don't know. I'm just laughing at who other people are picking. The Clippers.
We love John Wall and glad that he's back, and I hope he balls out. But I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know if how far they're gonna go, and they gotta show me. The Clippers do.
Somebody, I think it was Chris Broussard, picked the Nets. I'm like,
ooh, Lord.
Well, and the thing is too about that, we have seen the best of Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
like he's still very, very good, but we have seen the best of Durant.
You talk about Kawhi 31, KD what 34?
Yeah, and these guys have been in the league for this is year 20 for LeBron.
Yeah,
and and what fools us is they kind of look the same, right? It seems to me like particularly basketball players, they look the same until they retire, and then the next time you see them, they look like somebody's uncle. Like T-Mac looked like somebody's uncle showing up to that just Vince Carter's got that air about him as well. Yeah. But they'll fool you by looking the same, but it's just not there. Like Kevin Durant against Boston, Boston's got some young studs, but Durant has been, carving defenses up for years, and he couldn't. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not he was 100% healthy or whatever, that's a lot to ask. Plus, you asking Kyrie Irving to behave right for 5 months. That's a big ask.
Right. That's sketchy.
And then you got Ben Simmons. And who knows what we're gonna get?
Did you see the clip? Did you see the clip with the
air ball? And Steve Nash. Do we know if he can coach?
Right. Yeah. Because you wanted him out of town a few weeks ago over the summer. You want him gone. And now that's just
so. I don't know. The East, Miami. I don't know how far you can go if Jimmy Butler's your dude. He's a great player. He's a very good player. But how far can you go if Butler is your number one?
Yeah.
Because as we've seen, particularly in the NBA, you got to have a dude. You've got to have a dude that can just make a way out of no way. You look at all the champions, and that's why the 04 Pistons stand out as not having a dude.
No.
But Dirk on the Mavs, Olajuwon with your squad, the Rockets, you got to have a dude. Last year, Steph Curry gave us, I'm a dude.
D-Wade.
You need someone good enough in a 7-game series. I will get you 2. We can work on the other ones. Me by myself can get you 2. Giannis the year before, Kawhi in those finals, LeBron in 2020 in the bubble, which counts, right? All these teams, do you have somebody that when it's a 7-game series, I'm going to get you 2?
Yep.
And that was, I think, the one thing you could knock Steph Curry about was the Warriors had won, but he hadn't given us that moment. He did that in the finals this past year. Because I was one of the, because you start nitpicking. Yeah, like we were talking about, you get to that point. You're nitpicking, like, okay, you're at this level, but then you do start separating Hall of Famers from dudes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dudes in the Hall of Fame, deservedly so. But that list of, all right, if you've got to pick 2 squads, here are your 10 guys. That is a select group.
It's exclusive as it gets, boy.
That's I talk about it all the time with like the NFL Hall of Fame. There are a lot of quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. But there's a table for 2. Yeah, I'm still putting Joe up there because he won 4, right? It's Joe and Brady.
Yep.
That to me. Because Eli's going to get in, and Eli going to be, sitting by the bathroom. He in the Hall of Fame, but he's by the bathroom, right? So that's where I am when it comes to basketball. Your one time 04 Pistons doing it again. That's why it's rare, right? Other teams, you had Dwayne Wade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get you two.
Yep.
I just think that is the philosophy you have to win an NBA championship.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have somebody that can win 2 games by themselves?
Yeah.
And if you have more than one person, that's how you get a dynasty, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I tell you all the time, when James Worthy is option 3, you win 5 championships in a 9-year span,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's just how that happens. When he's
Mm-hmm.
your 3rd option.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
So I don't know when it look at the NBA. I don't know who's coming out of the East and West. I know it ain't the Clippers, and it's not the Nets. I think
That
people
wild.
are. Yeah, I think people are sleeping on the Bucks. Remember, Chris Middleton was hurt last year,
Mm-hmm.
so to think the Bucks are just going to go away, like, have we forgotten Giannis?
Yeah. Monster.
And we tend to do that a little bit. Another team wins, and we forget, like, Giannis still exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's still out here doing Greek freak things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't sleep on that. But my Lakers, hey, it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. It will. It will. Yeah, I mean, they might catch fire or make a move. And they're making so much of a big deal about moving Russ to the bench. You see it scrolling across the ticker. They're going to approach Russ about testing him out with the second. Either put him on the bench, or if he don't
Just
want to
do
do
it.
it, part ways. But they've been so delicate with it. Just look. If you want to get an ego, we'll see what else better options out there for you, Russ. I mean, if it's that serious, but don't be so tiptoey with whether you're gonna bench him or not, or have him with the second unit. It's weird.
Yeah,
Put your foot
yeah,
down,
but
Darvin. Put your foot down, Darvin.
yeah,
Or
I don't
LeBron.
know, but everybody's got jokes with Lakers. I get it. The Lakers being dysfunctional is fun. The last 15 years haven't been great. I've got to admit that, but I'm still able to remember the years before that when it was excellent.
And in the last 15, you still got 3 championships?
What is it?
Yeah, what,
15 goes
07?
back to 15 goes back to 07. So yeah, 3 championships.
In a not great 15 years. I'd take that. As a Rocket fan, I'd take a bubble banner that people say don't count. I'd take a bubble banner in a minute. So I'm not mad at you for having 3 titles in a down.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that, people want to put asterisks on different things. I had this discussion with my wife because she was laughing at the Dodgers' misfortune. Their only championship was that weird COVID year.
Yeah.
And I get it. Everybody wants to have jokes. But my whole thing is, were other teams trying to win? Well, yeah. Did everybody else play under the same conditions? Yeah. Then it counts.
It sure does.
That's the discussion I have with, the 48, 49, 51, 58 Kentucky Banners.
Yeah.
Were other teams trying to win?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody played under the same conditions? Well, yeah. Okay. So what's the problem?
North Carolina, Duke, and Kansas would gladly have those 4 from that era.
Right. Every team going back to Oregon in 1939, I think it was Oregon that won the first one.
Yeah.
Everybody that went to a Final Four has a banner hanging up. Every team. That's not unique to Kentucky.
Nope.
But anyway, go Cats. Go Krogering.
Right. That's right. And we'll be back next week. Happy anniversary a few days early. You and
I'm gonna
Kate.
hit it with that Tony, baby.
Right. Thanks again to Larry Kirksey, because my God, y'all, that was
great.
That was a lot of fun. Even the 49er portion of the interview was fun. I enjoy hearing the Jerry Rice stories. As much as I hate the Niners, I enjoy hearing those stories. That was
This
great.
piece of art is called Fingertips. See how he's catching the ball.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. All those years of catching bricks from his daddy.
that's right, man. Jerry
Hey.
Lee Rice. His birthday was last week, so happy birthday, GOAT.
That's it. We'll see everybody next week. Got the bye week. Get healthy for Tennessee. Enjoy your weekend. Stay warm, everybody up there, TB. Look forward to them pictures of the world's greatest truck stop right there in the heartland of America. And
crazy.
we see y'all next Wednesday, and we'll do it all again. I'll look to hit this outro button, and we appreciate y'all watching. And look, we're on Roku and YouTube and all that. Appreciate the BS3 network. We failed to mention that. Listen, last week we had Ben Sudderth and Ivan Dawkins on. Proud to be part of BS3 network. Didn't mention that earlier, but we'll catch y'all next week. For TB, this is Vinny. Thanks again to Larry Kirksey, and we'll see everybody next Wednesday. Thanks for watching.
Wow.